here's the part that I've never done before. I've gone 4 days without food, and then 4 days without water, and then no sleep. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Tradepreneur Show. Your host, Patrick Summers, as always. And then again, back on the show, Tanya Priest. How you doing, Tanya?
Doing good today. How are you?
Good, good. Listen to this episode. You've been following the show. You're probably going to be like, what are they talking about? And if you haven't been following the show, you're going to be like, oh, is this a history show or something like that? But, so before I get too far into this, I want to say that what I'm going to talk about is something that I've been searching for at least 5 years, I think. I had the idea for a while, but I've been searching for this, and it's a vision quest. Now, what I want to say and be clear about is I'm not presenting myself as an expert in Indigenous ceremony, Native American traditions, First Nation history, or Anishinaabe teachings. Hopefully I did that word justice. I'm going as a guest, an invited guest. I'm going with respect, and I'm going to listen, follow the guidance I'm given. But I do want to be able to at least share a little bit about what this is and why I'm going on it and what I hope to get out of it and how it translates into business. So what I'm about to do, this vision quest, it's outside of my normal operating ways and systems and procedures in some ways. In some ways, it's not. I'm a pretty spiritual person, and this is just an extension of it, but kind of a new extension of it. So I'm going on this vision quest in Manitoba, Canada. There'll be no phones, no business distractions, no emails, no social media, no podcast clip, no meetings, no calendar, no noise. In fact, no interaction with anybody for 4 days. Just me, the land, the ceremony, the people guiding it, the elders, and whatever shows up when the distractions are stripped away, because I feel like I have a lot of distractions right now. I feel like everybody has too many distractions. And while there's a lot that I'm excited about, there's a little bit of fear, apprehension, and it scares me a little bit, scares me in a healthy way, which tells me I'm approaching this the right way. I've been looking at this organization. I'm like, okay, this is a vision quest, so I should do it. So this year, again, I wrote it as one of my goals. And my peer group said, hey, Patrick, why aren't you doing this? You write it as your goal. Why are you not just going to do it? So I was like, okay, well, it was coming up in May. And I went to register. And they charge you money because it's a business for them. And I was like, I don't feel right with this. This isn't what I want. I want a true Indigenous experience. I want the truest vision quest led by elders that I can get. And so I went on a search. I've been searching, but I went on a deeper search. And I said, well, I'm thinking America, Native American. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. North America, the continent. I said, I'm going to search Canada. So I searched Canada, and I found a lot of information on Vision Quest. And then I found this Vision Quest that this Indigenous nation is having. And I hope I'm doing the terms right and everything like that. But I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. So I reached out to them. I heard back like 2 weeks later. So anyways, they came back and they said, okay, yeah, you can come. I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. So I shared it with you. I've been getting prepared. And the reality is, why am I going on this vision quest? And because when you run companies and you lead people and you raise a family and you build a brand and you host a podcast and constantly chase the next thing, your life can get loud. I mean, I'm getting loud because it's just the type of person I am. But business gets loud. The calendar gets loud. It gets chaotic. The phone gets loud, constant phone, right? Your own ambition gets loud. And I find it's very easy to get distracted. And when you get distracted, you get diluted. And at some point, you have to ask yourself a real question. Am I actually clear or am I just busy? So that's what this episode is about. This isn't a retreat. It's not a vacation. It's not some trendy go find yourself weekend with cucumber water and soft robes, because that's not what I want, right? That's not what I want. In fact, Tanya, you spoke to the somebody on the reservation today to get some information about next week, right, when I go. And what did they tell you about the current conditions?
It is -5 degrees where you're going to be going. It is going to be cold. It is going to
And they got snow today.
They got snow today.
So while it's spring or May or whatever we are in the rest of the world, where I'm going, it's cold, it's stormy. And so that's what I want. I believe you have to get out on the skinny branches. I believe direction is found, clarity is found in the struggle. Those moments are where you get some of your clearest direction and guidance and accomplishment.
But so when they said that though, so no part of yourself was nervous or
No, I'm
worried?
not worried about the weather.
You're not worried about the weather.
I hope it snows 2 feet while I'm there. Like, cold is cold, right? Cold is cold. Winhoff, if you study Winhoff, read any of his books, right? Now, don't get me wrong. You can get hypothermia, you can get heat exhaustion, heat stress, heat stroke, all of those things from the elements. But you can also endure it more than you think you can. I mean, that's the whole philosophy of Navy SEALs when they train and they're in cold water and they're miserable. It's not a question of can the human survive it or endure it. Do you want to? Do you have enough of a cause to? Is there a reason to? And I believe the more extreme the elements, the more there is to get out of it. And so that's kind of what I'm about here. And sometimes the next level of leadership does not come from adding, more. That's kind of where I'm at. And I know a lot of people similar to me that it's more, it's more, it's more. But sometimes it comes from stripping everything away, just stripping it away raw and really being able to focus on self. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to, quietness with myself. I'm also scared of that.
So let me just, before we go, too deep, if you can explain to someone who's heard the word, vision quest, right? Like I've heard vision quest, but does not actually know what it means. Like you hear the word, but doesn't really know what it means. Are you able to kind of explain that a little bit more in a deeper sense?
Yes. To the extent that I'm familiar with it and to what I know, I will be able to explain it in a much deeper sense on the other side of this, right? But what a vision quest is. It's simply a vision quest is generally understood as a spiritual journey or a rite of passage, it's often referred to. It's found in different forms among various indigenous peoples of North America. But this is where we have to be really careful. Not every native nation has the same ceremonies. Not every tribe, First Nation, or indigenous communities practice the same thing. And even when similar words are used in English, the actual meaning, process, and teachings can be different depending, of course, on the people, the land, the elders, and the tradition that's been handed down. But I think they all have similar elements to them for sure. So I don't want to make the lazy statement that all Native Americans do vision quests. That would be wrong. It'd be inaccurate, right? What I can say is, a vision quest is generally described as a spiritual experience where a person seeks guidance, protection, meaning, or clarity from the Great Spirit, often through preparation, isolation, right? I'm going through the preparation now. It's going to be isolation, prayer, and fasting, and time alone in nature. And I'll walk you through in a bit kind of the structural outline of it. But the details vary depending on the nation, the people, the ceremony, and the elders guiding it. That's what I love so much about the indigenous people and their cultures and the importance of elders and handing things down properly, right? This is something that has been done for thousands of years, and they're still doing it to this day. But at a simple level, a vision quest is not just going camping and thinking about your life. No, not at all. It's a ceremony. It's preparation. It involves fasting. It's solitude, and it's prayer. And then it's guidance from the elders or traditional leaders. So they are heavily involved in this whole thing. And for me, it's really about, for everybody, but personally for me, it's about stepping away from ordinary life so you can listen at a deeper level. Sometimes you got so much going on in life, it's really hard to listen. And it's really hard to get time with yourself in the right way, in the right environment.
Right.
So
let me ask you, is the purpose of it to get a vision, or is it more like clarity and transformation for you?
Yeah. So what I understand, the word vision matters. Okay. And I've heard different experiences and things in doing my research. And you can't go into this thinking you're expecting some sort of Hollywood scripted vision quest, right?
Right. Like a spirit in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen to some people and they don't experience something like that. And it's not like, okay, here, you're handed like, here's your plan. Here's your roadmap. Do this. And this is like not an Amazon Prime for enlightenment, right? This is not click, same day delivery on clarity, find all your answers, come here now and do this. In fact, there's not even a charge for this because this is for their people, right? I'm just happen to be fortunate that they said, yes, you can come.
They accepted you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but the way I understand it, the vision quest, it's about entering a sacred process and putting yourself in a place to receive, yes, visions. You may have visions. So I hear stories of people who encounter certain animals. I hear people that get clarity. I hear people that one of the things you do is there's an interpretation assistance with the elders afterwards. From what I understand, you don't necessarily just get this beautifully laid out, like, this is what you should do, or this is where you're at, or go here, do this. It can be a bit of a puzzle that you need the elders to help interpret. So, but I don't know. It basically it involves I'm gonna have to humble myself. I'm gonna be spending time alone. It's about listening, and they say listen to the world around you, the nature, because we're gonna be in the woods, right? And just pay attention. And it's about being out with nature. The very fact that we rarely let our feet touch the earth anymore. We're not in contact with the earth like we should be. And there's a whole separate talk we could have on grounding and everything like that. So it's really, obviously, indigenous cultures, they're very much about the earth and the sky and all the elements of it. And so, and I know for me, there's this longing inside me for when I was a kid and I'd go spend the day in the woods with my friends and come home at dinner time. And I just don't do that anymore. And so there's that element of it too. And so, I don't know, maybe on the vision quest, something becomes clearer. Maybe something's revealed. Maybe something breaks loose. Maybe the answer is not what I expect. Right. And maybe part of the teaching is just learning that I'm not in control and allowing to show up whatever shows up.
Does any of that make you nervous? Does any of because you'd mentioned a lot of things. There's the fasting, right? So when you say fasting, will you be just not eating? Will you be drinking?
I'll go into that in a minute.
Okay.
The detail, but I think being alone for 4 days, 24 hours a day with myself. I mean, you've hung out with me. I mean, people that know me listen to this. My family probably, oh my God, he's going to know what it's like finally. But there's no phone. There's no distraction. It's so hard to just do something and not be distracted by your phone, right? It's so hard to get clarity in your head and really focus. So I am a little like, wow, I've never been alone with myself. And it's not just being alone with yourself. You're alone in the woods. And I mean, I've camped before and everything like that, but I've never just sat in the woods. Like this place is like 2 hours from Winnipeg. There is no city there. And it's a little like, wow, like, I don't know. What's it going to be like at 1 a.m, just sitting there in the woods by myself? Maybe I come back and I tell you that Bigfoot is real, right? I don't know. But, one of the things that I find powerful is that many indigenous cultures do not treat major life transitions casually, which I think is really, really important. There's ceremonies for change and there's ceremonies for maturity and ceremonies for responsibility, ceremonies that connected a person back to the land, which I really think is important. The community and the ancestors that were there before them, the creator, the great creator, and their role in life. And I think that matters now more than ever because in modern life, man, we have almost eliminated rites of passage. And it's not just the indigenous nations and cultures that have rites of passage. We've had them and we have them. I mean, but they get watered down and they become Instagram posts. Think of birthdays and graduations, getting a driver's license, promotions at work. Those are sort of rites of passage, but now they kind of tend to be a good social post, right? Instead of really like rituals. I know I went to a men's retreat once and there was a priest who led it. Amazing, amazing individual. And he had a master's degree or doctorate in psychology or something. And he would talk about rituals and the importance of rituals. And in fact, he wrote a book on the importance of rituals. And he said when he decided to become a priest in his family and he left the home to go to the seminary, his family, there was a ritual they did. It was like the signifying of that. And it was a great lesson, great book. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's all on the importance of rituals and how we've gotten away from them. But, at the end of the day, what do we do to mark the moments? Do we really mark the moment when a man becomes a man? Do we really mark the moment when a leader needs to shed the old version of himself? Most of the time, I would have to say, no, we don't. Right? We just keep going. It's just another day. And I know that's my challenge is I just let one day roll into the next day. Somebody said to me once, Patrick, do you ever stop to celebrate your victories, your wins? And I said, no, I don't. Why? Because there's like, it's just, I can't. I got to go on to the next thing. And, you know, and as I get older, I start to think and I look and I'm like, wow, maybe I need to do that a little bit more, right? Instead of just dragging the old version of myself into the next season and wonder, what's next? What's next?
Right. So, you know, and that's interesting because in business, you know, you were talking about leadership, right? Changes, right? In business, we promote people, but we rarely help them become, you know, the person in the new role and what that requires. Do you feel like this is partly about transitioning for you as a leader?
I think there's some element to it, personally and professionally as leader. I know I'm making a big transition in my current role. You know, transitioning from an operations guy into a CEO is a transition in its own right, and especially if you're strong operations. And so I'm transitioning that way. But anyways, yeah, I think, you know, I want to level up. I'm always about leveling up. And a lot of times my level up, and I think we all do this. I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I know a lot of people in my circle, a lot of business people. I tend to see they do the same thing. They level up. Level up is more. Level up is always more, right? Bigger, better. And while I do agree with that, I do also believe level up is clarity. Level up is, I don't like the word balance because I don't believe in balance. Balance is a life thing, right? There you have seasons of your life, and in those seasons are different balances. But I do believe that to level up, I'm at a point where I have to step away into a space that is free of distraction and has true purpose to go to the next level, you know? And I don't know. Now I want to be thoughtful with the language in this, but in the United States, people often say Native American, American Indian, Native peoples, or Indigenous peoples, right? In Canada, you often hear First Nations, Metis, and Inuit under the broader term Indigenous people. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm learning a lot. Now, here's the interesting thing: as a kid, my dad was an avid fan of history, American Revolution, and Native Americans. Read a lot of books. Introduced me to a really good book, almost a tragic book, "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee." He would have like bronze statues of Native Americans and stuff. He really respected the Native Americans and what they went through and their history and everything like that. But I kind of, you know, there's always been a part of me that finds that important. And I'll be the first to tell you, we weren't very good to them in some of the things we did. So I feel that their culture is so amazing. And when they have powwows and things like that, and you can see how they keep the culture and the past alive, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Well, you can feel it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so because I'm going to Manitoba in Canada, I'm going to be connecting with the Anishinaabe. I hope I say it correctly. People and Saking. It's probably more accurate to use terms like First Nation, but I don't know. It's complex because it's kind of like I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. So, and again, I'm not going to be an expert. I'm just blessed and fortunate that I'm going to be able to experience this. And I'm going to be a guest here. I've done my homework. I know that when I get there, I'm going to find out that there's a lot of homework left to be done. As much as I think I'm going to be prepared, I don't think I'm going to be truly prepared. But it's very important that I show proper respect and that I'm humble and never forget that I'm a guest that's being allowed to partake in something very sacred to them. So, anyways, let me talk about the outline of what this is. Essentially, what I'll do is I will fly up to Canada, show up in Winnipeg, and I'll spend the night in Winnipeg. And then I've got a car that I'm gonna rent. And there is one little motel in town. And there's not really a town, but there's a town. So, I mean, there's people that live there. I don't know what the population is, but
There's no taxis. You
there's
got to get
nothing.
yourself everywhere. Yeah.
There's nothing. And so, but there is like big wildlife stuff and there's like fishing and stuff. So obviously a motel, it's a motel. It's not a hotel. There is that like 30 minutes away. So I'll go there on a Tuesday and I'll get a feel for the lay of the land and where I'm going and everything like that. And then Thursday, I go to where they're all meeting, and there is a feast, a big feast where a potluck, because a lot of the people going through this are their families going to be seeing them off, right? Because a lot of them are young men going through their rites of passage, and so everybody eats because the men that are going to be going through this are going to be fasting. So everybody eats. Then there is a 2-hour sweat lodge led by the elders, and that's a part of a cleansing that is done. I don't know what happens in the sweat lodge. I mean, I've researched a little bit, so I have an idea, but I'm not going to put anything out there because I really don't know. All I do know is you put on a pair of shorts and you go in, and there's this cleansing process in the sweat lodge. That's for 2 hours. Then you are guided to what they call the sacred space. And the sacred space, you are put inside a perimeter, and there's how you do that with tobacco offerings and ties of the four directions, the four colors, which are the four directions, and you're inside that space until Monday at noon. So Thursday until Monday at noon, and then at the sacred space there'll be a feast, because you will have gone 4 days with no food. Here's the part that I've never done before. I've gone 4 days without food. I know a lot of you that see me on YouTube think, oh, I don't think he's gone a couple hours without food, but I have fasted. I fasted up to 11 days with just water. So 4 days without food, and then 4 days without water, and then no sleep. Now, I'm not saying you can't sleep, but you're not, you ain't going to curl up in a sleeping bag and like take a nap, right? Or go to bed at 9 and wake up at 7. You're out in the woods. It's cold. You're fasting. The whole idea is to put yourself into this kind of state of deprivation, discomfort, if you will. And that's when you can allow the visions, the Great Spirit to speak to you. And so that's kind of the high level of what happens. And now you may say, why if I don't start till Thursday, why am I driving in Tuesday and then having Wednesday? Because I need to get the lay of the land. There's some things I need to get, ceremonial items that I'll need to resource. Also, I didn't know how I was going to do a vehicle. I have a rental vehicle, but they're not going to let you drive away from the sacred space after 4 days of fasting, very little, if any, sleep and no water. So I figured I'm going to need time to find a ride, but you were able to secure me.
That worked out really good.
A ride.
Yep.
Look at Tanya. Yeah, it worked out really good.
I was excited because something made me call. I called this morning. I called yesterday. I'm trying to get some answers as to some of the things because, at least it gives you peace of mind going into everything that what's going to happen. I picked up the phone again today and someone answered. She was great. And she's going to help you while you're there. So,
well, she'll get me from the hotel. She'll take me to where we're going to do the sweat lodge. And then she's going to take me to the sacred space, and then she'll take me from the sacred space on Monday back to the hotel where I can get some rest. So that's a vision quest. Now, I obviously will have a follow-up episode to talk a little bit more about what I went through and everything, but I will tell you, this is very much about me being a CEO. This is very much about me being a tradepreneur. This is very much about me building businesses because it's building myself. It's a critical element that I believe is often overlooked, and I'm guilty of overlooking it, just grinding and grinding and grinding and never really doing habit number 7. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit number 7 is sharpen the saw, right? Sharpen the saw. And we should do an episode on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People because I use them every single day. And they are very, very effective. The one habit I do not do enough, hardly at all, is sharpening the saw. I do in the sense of taking a course, reading a book, but sharpening the saw also means working on the inside, the inner part, the part that sometimes is not, easy to do, or you don't take the time to do it. And, and I'm not knocking therapists and people that go to therapy and stuff. I have in my past, but this is my therapy. I fully am aware I may not hear what I want to hear, right? So, but I'm excited for it. I'm apprehensive for it or about it. I think there's only upside to it, and I'll let you know how it goes. I will record some of the events that I can record. Right, I can't record any of the ceremonial stuff or any of the time in the sacred space, but up until and after, I can certainly get some information to just give people some insight into it, into the experience. But I think at the end of the day, the point of this episode is, look, it doesn't matter what level you're at. You need to do things to level yourself up. And sometimes those things are not the next course, and they're not the next, whatever. Sometimes they're the things that really put us in an uncomfortable way, allow us to and force us to really be with ourselves and get inside ourselves with no distractions. And so that's what this is.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about, your experience. And I'm sure everybody out there is, looking forward to hearing a little bit more detail and some of the things you're going to be going through. So excited to hear more.
It's going to be good. So at the end of the day, as always, I truly appreciate anybody that listens and tunes in and supports the Tradepreneur Show. I love doing this. I truly love doing this. I hope you get something out of it. With that said, another episode of the Tradepreneur Show is in the books. Listen, as I say, win the day. Just focus on the day. You can't do anything about yesterday. You can prepare for tomorrow, but not if you don't have your focus on today. Win today, and until next time, be great.